Welcome, friends of Speak Your Courage. I'm Travis Marker. Thank you for joining me on this journey where we explore vulnerability and engage in meaningful conversations between you, our family, friends, educators, colleagues, and the LGBTQ plus community. As we travel down different paths, we'll keep our discussions genuine and relaxed, sharing stories, laughter, and making positive impact on lives along the way. Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Your Courage. I'm Travis Marker. And in the continued quest to tell you this story about myself, today's going to be about coming out. I think in today's world, a lot of people have this grand, story, and I love that for them of coming out. And I don't necessarily have that. And let me also say, I think coming out is ridiculous. We should not have to come out. So even the phrase coming out of the closet, I hate it. Hate it with a passion. That said, I'm going to tell you my story about this. So let me set the stage first. So I grew up in Kansas, as I've said before, small town near the Colorado-Kansas border. Population at that time was about 3,500. There's a couple hundred in my class. Mid or early to mid 80s. So keep that in mind as well. Mid 80s, we moved to central Kansas. It's just my mother and I. She's divorced. They divorced when I was about 9. So I've grown up with a mom. My brother had gone to live with my dad, and my sister was already out of the house. All right. Even smaller town in central Kansas, Pretty Prairie, Kansas, Pretty Prairie, America. I say Pretty Prairie. People go, "Where are you from?" I go, "Pretty Prairie." And they're like, I still don't get it. Oh my gosh, Pretty Prairie. So make your jokes. Do it now. I've heard them all. Yes, I didn't name it. So what can I say? All right, 20, I think there was 21 in our graduating class. So little bitty farm town. We lived out near a lake. We owned the family business. I say family business. It was my mom and me, but still, it's a family. It's a family business. All right, 1980s, keep in mind. So AIDS epidemic. Dynasty, Knots Landing shows that some of you are like, what? Oh, I saw the reboot on Netflix. And no, 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 no. This is back in the original days with Crystal Carrington, the first, not necessarily the first, but kind of mainstream gay character. I don't even remember his name now. Anyways, that's not the story. Let's see, 80s. MTV came out in 1981. I said the AIDS epidemic. My husband, single digits. He was not even 10, so single digits old at that point in time. So set the stage. No mobile phones, no rabbit ears on the TV, no flat screens, great big huge boxes, back in those days. And as I've said previously, no such thing as gay. You were a fag, or so on and so forth. All right, the stage is set. All right, so what are you supposed to do in those days? Well, you're supposed to marry and have kids. That's just it. That's all you're supposed to do. So what did I do? I married and oh no, I did not have kids. I did marry. Wonderful woman, Amy. Still great friends today. Now she has a child. She's even attended Keith and I's wedding. So it's a wonderful human being, and we're still just as close today. I love her just as much today as I did back then. All right, so I got married in 1991. Please, I hope that is the right year. If not, Amy, I'm sure she's going to tell me, but I think it was 1991. All right, we got married. We moved to Oklahoma. I was in the Army Reserve. That'll be another story. And the marriage will be another story too. This is all about coming out, but I want to make sure I've set this stage of what that time period was really like for me. So I married, we moved to Oklahoma. We can't go too far from Kansas. I'm in the Army Reserves, and that's where my unit is actually located, and I don't want to switch units and go through all of that. All right, I'm working for a local bank down there. My boss is gay. I'm not sure I knew he was gay. Maybe I thought he was gay, but he was dating a woman at the time. And him and her, and then Amy and I, we became friends. And then another gentleman joined the bank. And I don't know that I knew he was gay either until I think my boss said, he's gay. And I'm like, what? you know. I'm very naive at this point. I'm about 21. Kansas boy, again, 80s. Well, early 90s now. Okay, so it's Amy's birthday. They're taking me to a gay bar. Never been to a gay bar, and I didn't even talk about gay bars at that point in time. And what's funny is we're in the car, and it's my boss and his girlfriend, and then the other gentleman who worked at the bank, and then Amy and I. And they're all talking as if I'm not in the car about this. Oh, we're going to go to this. They did not say the word gay. We're going to go to this bar, and this is where everybody dances, and everybody goes there, and it's going to be a great time, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, we're going to a gay bar. In my head, I'm thinking this. We're going to a gay bar. Oh my gosh. And they're all like, oh, is Travis going to be okay? Is he going to be okay? Is he going to get, and they're all worried and they're talking again, like I'm not in the car. I'm like, hello, right here. So we go to the bar. We get in. Great bar, no longer there, Oklahoma City called Angles. So for those of you who remember Angles, it was the place to be in the 90s. All right, we go in. First thing I see is a man on a box in the littlest, I don't know, underwear, swimsuit, shorts, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever seen. I was like, oh, I'm in heaven. I just entered heaven. There are men on boxes dancing. There is thumpa thumpa music playing. We're drinking. This is the best time of my entire life. I tried to play it very cool, like, oh, yeah, this is different. In my head, I am like, I have arrived. I don't, you know. So, a great time. And then from that point on, things changed in my life. There is a gay bar. There is a place people go like me, though I didn't really know what like me was, where you have a great time and there are people kissing. I saw my boss kiss a guy on the other side of the dance floor. I was like, Amy, look, he's kissing the guy. I don't know. It was such a weird time. Okay, that day's come. That day's gone. I then again different place. So I'm sorry, Amy. I think I've told you this, but I'd kind of create these arguments where Amy and I would get in an argument about something, and I would be fine. I'm going to my friend's house, which was the gentleman that we all went to the bar with. And so I would go to his house, and then we would go to the bar, and I would be in heaven again, and then I would go home. February. Keep in mind, Amy's birthday's in September. So it's now February, and I ask for a divorce. Um, Amy takes no time whatsoever in saying, you're gay. It's because you're gay, right? You're gay. And I don't really remember my answer. I don't know if I said yes or I don't know because one, had never said that to myself that I was gay. Um, so I don't really know. I don't remember my answer. I do remember this though. And again, Amy, sorry if I'm in this is my mind. So Amy, I know you're listening, and in my mind, this is what was happening. So in your mind, you're like, I did not do that. But in my mind, yes. So Amy was not at that exact moment, but she was picking up the phone and she was calling people, Travis wants a divorce. Well, and of course somebody's gonna ask, why do you want to get why? And she would say, because he's gay. And so I thought, oh my God, I got to go tell the world like this, because if not, they're all going to hear from Amy that I'm gay. And so I'd called my mom. I'd called my mom that night, actually. And I had left the house that night and went to stay with the friend who I worked with. Um, I did not say to anybody, one, I don't even know that I told anybody that, yes, we're getting a divorce. And two, I definitely didn't say why. And at work, within about a month, I had taken the picture of Amy off my desk. I had never said a word to anybody. People came up to me later and said, oh, I noticed the picture was gone. And I'm like, first of all, who notices that? But apparently they did. I don't remember the reason that I gave. But the bank at that point in time, keep in mind it's the 80s, they would go through the newspaper to find obituaries and things like this, because that's how you knew when somebody passed away. And then you would know what to do with their accounts and things like that. This is pre-computers. Well, no, we had computers, but what was it called back in the Word Perfect, maybe? Anyways, I digress. Okay. So somebody from that area came to me and said, Travis, I read in the paper today that you're getting a divorce. I was like, first of all, didn't know that was even put in the paper. Second of all, why are you reading that? Because I did not understand that they read the obituaries and all of that kind of stuff. And so slowly got out that I was getting a divorce because of that, not because I was telling people. All right, two things here. One, as I said, I feel I've got to tell people very, very quickly, right? So I went back home. I went to my mother. I said, I'm getting a divorce. She said, why? I said, well, you guess. You guess why I'm getting a divorce. And it took a minute. And she said, you're in love with Jimmy. Jimmy was my best friend growing up, like middle school, grade school friend. And I said, well, not Jimmy, but so I still couldn't say the words. And the conversation went from there, and she could have cared less. And she said something like, feel like I've always known, and, so on and so forth. So nothing really changed between our relationship at that point in time. He also went to the city where my dad was. That was back in Oklahoma. And I said, he was running a small business, and we went into this kind of a janitorial type closet. It was big, not like a little dinky thing, but it was big. And so we were in this room, and I told him I was getting a divorce, and I had not said why, and he said he was not in agreement with that. My role was to provide for my wife, to stay married forever, to do whatever was needed to stay in this marriage. I thought that was kind of funny coming from a man who was divorced. Now, keep in mind, I don't know the circumstances. Was it all mom? Was it all him? I don't really know, and that's another podcast. But I still thought it was kind of funny. So I did tell him I I don't know if I said the word I'm gay, but I said, I like guys or something along those lines. And he said two things. I still remember this today. And when dad passed, dad was in hospice, and we went through this story. So dad is fully aware, and he's listening now, yeah, so dad and I are really good, even though at the time we were not. And he said to me, he said, "Well, you can't be a teacher," because I was going to school to be a I don't know if elementary at that time or secondary, doesn't matter, but a teacher in school. And what was funny is by the time I had told my dad, I was, I'll say, dating. I'm new to this. I'd gone out a few times with a guy who was a teacher. Of course, I did not say that. But he was telling me I could not be a teacher because, gay people can't be teachers. They're not teachers. I don't know that I had a reply. And then the second thing that he said to me, he asked, it was a question, who's going to wear the dress? And that one kind of sent me into a tailspin. Again, I was not educated on gay and homosexuality and all of that, but I knew enough to say neither one of us are going to wear a dress. It's two guys. You don't. Now, to Dad's point, he didn't even know a gay man. He knew nobody. Remember small towns, and Kansas in the 80s and even pre that. So there's no fault there. But at that point in time, I held a lot against him for saying that and not getting that same welcome that I got from mom. And it really created a barrier in our relationship. Not an anger thing, but we just didn't really talk. So if we saw each other, we would talk. If we went to a funeral or a wedding or a reunion or whatever it was, we would talk. But I didn't go visit him, and he didn't come visit me. Um, and it took years. Another story. But when you go back to coming out, that's my coming out story. It's not, oh my gosh, it was amazing, which a ton of people's stories are very similar to mine and not amazing. I thank goodness my mom embraced it. My dad did come around to it. I told my best friend, her name, Joe, and she was like, I've known the whole time. And our relationship actually flourished. I told my other best friend, uh, Brett, and he had already heard through the grapevine, and he would not get on the phone for me to tell him. So it was him and his wife at that point in time. And he's never spoke to me since. He's never, so in 1992 is when this occurred, and we've never spoke again. Never spoke again. So I've tried, but he says at that point in time what I had heard was he was upset because he did not hear from me. Well, like I said, that train had left the station as soon as I had told Amy the reason, and people were finding out. All of those things that I just told you happened probably in less than 2 weeks. It was very, very quick. Um, yeah. So here's what I would say about today. Um, so that's me coming out of the closet. I so appreciate those who have the courage to come out still today. I appreciate you and I appreciate you coming out of the closet. I wish we did not have to do that. And I appreciate those who just go through life that you don't have to come out of the closet. This is just who I am. It's just saying, oh, I'm gay. I was never in the closet. I'm just gay. I appreciate that too. So, and for those of you who haven't embraced it or haven't been able to come out, that's understandable as well. It's tough. It's really, really tough. Keith and I have had a lot of people over the years come to us and say, "Hey, my son," we've had a story about that. My son is just told me he was gay. My cousin said her best friend, and then his son had come, and her best friend had said, "Get out of the house." So we've walked them through that. Another best friend, Joe, that I've talked about. So many people have come to us at the time, and what do you do, and what do you say, and things like that. And we're going to get into that on some additional ones. But today, I really wanted to talk about my coming out story. I wanted you to know a little bit more about me. And my final words are this. So that's 1991, right? I did not embrace being gay until after 2015. So I got married, legally married to Keith in 2015. And I don't think I definitely didn't embrace it pre the wedding. The wedding was probably a part of me beginning to embrace it. But you're talking 25 years later, it took to get me where I am today and actually embrace being gay, saying I'm gay, that I have a husband, that it's no issue. Sometimes I still have to think, oh, do I say it? Do I say it? Often though, it just comes out now. So I end today with that. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear how it was for you. Was it great with the family? Was it not so great with the family? Are you struggling today? I'd love to hear those stories. So let's talk about that. So comment once you hear this, share the story, and I will keep the podcast coming on my next journey. All right. So until then, speak your courage and make sure you give me those comments. Have a good one, everyone.